Hello guys, what's up? Hope you're enjoying all the recent builds I've been come up with. I bet a lot of you are aching to know how exactly they work, and I've just been testing non-stop. I even spent over 100 divines on the spear skills because there are a lot of spear skills that has. This one has slam, and a lot of striking skills. Yeah, I think I tested pretty much all of them. And the quarterstaff, of course, has the most strike skills. It also has quite a few slam skills. They all, because Ancestral Cry powers up the slam skills and the strike skills. So I tested all of them, and of course the most fun comes out of the quarterstaff, because quarterstaff you're allowed to have very high base damage and a lot of attacks skill levels, but spear, it's a single hand weapon. It doesn't, unfortunately, the damage is not high enough to reach my expectation. I mean, it still works, but it doesn't clear as good as the quarterstaff. So don't buy the spears. But anyways, it's Ancestral Cry it's such a journey. This skill is just so OP. Because normally with the quarterstaff skills, you see them mostly on Monk or Amazon, and to scale up their damage, you need the help with critical damage. But in our case, we have invested in 0 critical damage, and so to make up for the damage lost and still clear everything, y'all saw the previous video. Even in T4 Simulacrum, they die so fast because of the Ancestral boost. It gives so much damage. I've seen other, among all the skills I've tested, Shattering Palm is my favorite. I'll explain why. But I've seen other Shattering Palm builds. They're all on a Monk or Amazon or Gemling. They have a lot of critical damage invested, and then you even need a second skill to activate the explosion. But in our case, we just need this one skill. We don't need anything else. Powered up by Ancestral Cry. The reason I like using Titan on a build like this is mainly because without investing any passives into critical skills, I can use those. I can use those passive nodes instead to invest in a lot of area of effect attacks. And because of Hulking Form, our area effects is the biggest among all Ascendancy classes. You hit so big and so wide for all of your skills, for all of your heralds, which is very important for the core mechanics we're gonna talk about, that blow up the entire screen and spread as far as possible. Yet there is no other class will make this big of an explosion or chain that far. So let's talk about the very exciting core mechanics. The core mechanics is essentially the chain between heralds and armor explosion. Simply put, you need both extra damage, extra physical damage, I would say at least 30%, and extra elemental damage, which you can get through the sockets, and you can get from Nothing Diamond, and there's a couple of other sources from passive skills as well to make this work. So how does it work? First of all, the extra elemental damage will be applied on your main skill. So your main skill has a decent amount of elemental damage to activate the heralds, and that's why the Heart of the Well diamond also has extra code and lightning. If you want to use this cluster right here to use the super expensive, last week I checked was a 400 divines. I'm not gonna do that. To grab this cluster, there's you can get 1, 2, 3 at least, and you can even get 4 or 5 to get more extra code and lightning damage, but I don't think it's necessary. That way, your main skill have the cold and lightning damage to activate the initial Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. And now, the extra physical damage will be applied on your heralds. The first one, see that one. They have physical damage. The extra physical damage will break armor with armor break, will fully break armor with demolisher, and when they fully break armor, they will trigger armor explosion. Now, the armor explosion is attack. It's an attack damage, and it's not a herald attack. See, in the before 0.2, we were able to chain Herald of Ice and Thunder of each other because they trigger each other. But after the 0.2, the heralds cannot chain off each other anymore. It has to be triggered by a non-herald attack. And guess what? Armor Explosion is a non-herald attack. So when the heralds break armor, they trigger Armor Explosion. The Armor Explosion also have the extra elemental damage that'll re-trigger the heralds with the help of elemental armament, boosting the elemental damage, and shock or freeze. Either one is fine. You can swap these two, doesn't matter. It's the extra damage on Armor Explosion that's gonna re-trigger itself or each other. But I would suggest you put freeze on Thunder and shock on Herald of Ice, because Herald of Ice has this payoff tag, meaning payoff skills cannot inflict the debuff they interact with. So Herald of Ice cannot freeze because it's a cold skill, and Herald of Thunder cannot shock the damage from the Herald itself. However, Herald of Ice with the extra elemental damage is able to shock the enemy, and the Herald of Thunder is able to freeze the enemy. That way they will not chain each other. The Herald damage will not chain each other, trigger each other, but at least they will apply the ailment and helping the Armor Explosion to trigger them more efficiently. But here's a secret. If you want to do Simulacrum, because Herald of Ice doesn't pop in Simulacrum, you have to swap these two. You have to make the shock on the Herald of Thunder, because only Herald of Thunder is activating. And the Armor Explosion, which has the extra elemental damage of lightning, will shock the enemy, prepare for another round of Herald of Thunder, so it's basically triggering itself. But in other cases, if you want a little bit more efficiency of clearing, this is better. So to say it again, the extra elemental damage on your weapon or other sources is gonna activate the initial explosion of Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder, and the extra physical damage on your Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder is gonna trigger armor break, and it's gonna fully break armor. It's gonna trigger Armor Explosion. The Armor Explosion, the elemental damage is going to enhanced by elemental armament and shock or freeze, is going to re-trigger the heralds on its own and create this chain of explosion spread as far, as big as possible. And if you are short on spirit, you can just use one herald. It'll chain itself just fine. And so that's the core mechanics. I want to say this core mechanic can work with every attack weapon, because the only source of extra physical damage is your weapon. Physical, where are you? And it needs to be weapon. Yeah, I'm not even doing the category. You see, the only source of extra physical damage are the attack weapons. You got quarterstaff, you got bow, you got crossbow, you got maces. Oh, you got wands here too. Yeah. So I haven't tried this out yet. Maybe I will next. But but that's how you get the source of extra physical damage. The only other source of extra physical damage is this one passive right here. This one gives 8% of extra physical damage and increased defense for a fully broken armor. That's the only source on passives. You cannot get extra physical damage through other sources in this league, not from gear, other gear other than a weapon, not from jewels or diamonds or anywhere else. So if you want this to work, you have to get this as high as possible. I would recommend at least 30% on your weapon. Also scale up your base damage. It doesn't matter what type of base damage. It can be physical damage, it can be elemental damage, but the total base damage has to be as high as possible, because the base damage is the first one that applies, and then the higher base damage you get, the higher extra damage you get. And after that, the increased damage applies and the critical damage applies. So the base damage is very important. And of course, the +6 of our attack skills. It works on heralds. Don't get the melee one. The melee one won't work on the heralds. So that's how you make this core build work, and it can work with in every other builds that use an attack, like the weapons I just showed you. If you want to play with crossbow, you want to play with bow, this chain of armor explosion and triggering heralds and back and forth is going to work in all of those builds. Let's recap Ancestral Cry, because some of you didn't watch the previous builds. Let me explain why we use Ancestral Cry and how to generate glory efficiently and how to make it last as long as possible. So Ancestral Cry is going to ancestral, when it's activated, it's going to ancestrally boosted all of your strike skills and slam skills. For slam skills, you get 30% more damage, you get 20% more increased area of effect. For strike skills, it'll hit more targets, and that's not it. Ancestral boosted attacks also count as being empowered. So when your slam skills and strike skills are ancestrally boosted, you get a benefit from this cluster right here. This cluster here gives ancestral boost attacks a total of 102 increased damage, which is a lot. And that's why we don't need to invest in any critical damage. And because we just said it count as ancestral boost attack count as being empowered, so you can actually invest all of these. Empower attacks still increase damage, empower leader increase damage, empower disc increase damage. And I have this jewel with the small skill in radius also grant empowered attacks deal more increased damage, and with Hulking form and the increased effect of small passives, all of my passive around here gives empowered attacks deal 5% increased damage, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's another 35 increased damage for all of my empowered strikes and slams. So that's why without any investment of critical damage, we're able to hit so hard with the quarterstaff skills. And other benefits of Ancestral Cry, it has its own volcanic steps, in which it count as slam skills, and volcanic eruption, which only activates with the strike skills, just a little bit of extra. So it's just so powerful, and it requires 100 glory through igniting the enemy. If you have enough spirit, try to use Herald of Ash, because when the Herald of Ash explodes, overkills, it's going to ignite the nearby enemy, which will contribute to the glory generation. The second one is this glory generation cluster here. It gives a total of 66% increased glory generation. The third one is to invest into a lot of the flammability magnitude, like this little cluster right here. It gives 52%. I grabbed this one with a Megalomaniac Diamond, increased 40% increased flammability magnitude, also increased the damage when the enemy is ignited. It helps with the boss. There's also this right here. Yeah, Fire Starter. It also increased 40% in flammability magnitude. Also, the extra elemental damage, which includes fire, is going to allow all of your attack skills, your main skills, your Herald skills to have extra fire damage. They all benefit from the flammability magnitude, contributing to ignite. So for me, I just hit two or three groups of mobs, and my Ancestral Cry is good to go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, look, I just hit like 2. It's already... This is the bar of the glory generation. You're gonna see how fast it generates.
Face me.
The more mobs, of course, the faster. Oh, it's already, see? That's one big pack of mobs. I just hit it once and bam, it's full, ready to go. And the next one is how to make it last as long as possible. There are a couple ways to do it. First of all, you need prolonged duration, you know, obviously, to increase the skill effect duration. And then you need this expensive one, I don't know the price right now, to give 10%, the Diala's desire to give 10% quality of supported skills, because the quality of Ancestral Cry gives increase the duration per endurance charge consumed. It gives 30%. If you want to allocate, if you find a Megalomaniac diamond, sorry about my language. If you find a Megalomaniac diamond to also grab this one right here, it gives another 5%, which also contribute to the time duration. Because Ancestral Cry gets duration per endurance charge. So I have this one right here, gives maximum 2 endurance charge. This one I missed it. You can grab it, it's on the way. It gives another one. This one, Grit, also gives another one. And if you want to use like allocation on your amulet to grab this one, it gives another 20 seconds or 19 seconds increased skill effect duration. And I also have this little cluster right here to grab more skill effect duration, and this little cluster right here to grab more skill effect duration. They're all on the way. So that's how you get your Ancestral Cry to whoop, what are you doing? What am I doing? To have a lot of endurance charge. Oh, I forgot one more thing. The belt. Whatever belt you use, you are able to get a +1 maximum endurance charge on it. So that's how you get up to +7, +8 if you grab gut on your endurance charge, and all the skill duration is going to. Oh yeah, this Heart of the Well diamond can also have this increased skill effect duration, but it only gives up to 8%, which is going to be another 8 seconds maybe. So it's not a big deal. But as you see, they all contribute. There's another support gem I was using that gives 20% chance to double the endurance charge effect. I forgot the gem's name. But it'll double, it literally double it. So if I push my Ancestral Cry time to about 3 minutes, it'll be like 6 minutes if it happens. But 20% chance is a little low. I prefer little consistency. And so I didn't use that one, but that is an option. Actually, you know what? Why the fuck am I using life tab in here? I can just put that one here. Yeah, because right now this build, Ancestral Cry, is not the main attack skill. I don't need max level on it. I just need it to be as long as possible. I want to put that one back later. Okay, yeah, let's keep going. So, actually I just lost my glory. I was talking for so long, I lost my glory. I have to regenerate it. Yeah, let me regenerate it. It won't take long. Half of it already. Bam! There you go. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Among all the builds, my favorite one is Shattering Palm. Yeah, it's the reason is There's a couple reasons. The first one, it just looks so cool. You know, it has its own chain of explosion. Once you do enough damage, it'll spread the shards, and because we invested so much on the area of attack, the shards range is actually pretty wide. Pretty much the entire screen, all the monsters in screen will be coated with the ice shards, and they'll trigger its own explosion. And another reason is because we haven't invested any into accuracy, and this passive right here actually reduces accuracy while surrounded. So even though the shattering palm itself cannot be evaded, and the heralds initially cannot be evaded, but the armor explosion attack and shattering palm's explosion attack can be evaded. So they actually have very low accuracy. What the fuck? Why is it 100%? I thought it would be lower. Did I? Maybe I get like a modifier to have more accuracy, but without any modifier, the accuracy for armor explosion and the explosion from shattering palm is actually not 100%. So adding another layer of chain explosion, you know, they kind of make up for each other. So I like using. That's another reason I like using shattering palm. Also, the ancestral cry boosted shattering palm is so powerful that its own explosion can work even without the heralds. Let me show you. I turned off Herald of Ice and Thunder, so there's no chain explosion with these two heralds and the armor explosion. I kept Herald of Ash on because the ignite helps me generate glory. Now, right now we still have Ancestral Cry activated without two heralds, but it's still able to. It's still able to do cause its own chain of explosion. Okay. Remember, we don't have any critical damage invested. This is just purely increased damage. That's why I like Ancestral Cry so much. You see the chain explosion? It happens on its own. It still chains off pretty nicely. But if you turn these two heralds back on, add another set of chain explosion, extra powerful. Basically anything it touches is gonna blow up the entire screen. And if you use Shattering Palm, get too close to a group of mobs and it doesn't kill everything, the volcanic step, because you're walking around, you're walking away, the volcanic step will finish it off for you. It's still level 34, it still does decent damage, you know. It gets the levels from corruption, from your weapon, from all of your melee skills, from fire mastery, from dialogue's desire. Yeah. You get close, it doesn't kill it. When you walk away, the volcanic step will finish off for you. Volcanic step also triggers the heralds. So you have a lot of things, a lot going on here that all contribute to this massive chain of explosion. You got a lot going on here. Yeah, I didn't expect this one was working so well in Simulacrum. I thought losing Herald of Ice would make it suffer, but holy hell, y'all saw the last video. It cleans so fast. Even the bosses, they die instantly. And that was just a Herald of Thunder and Armor Explosion chain of each other. Oh yeah, one more thing. When you have armor break on your heralds, not only it activates the armor explosion chain reaction, it also gives you a chance to grab endurance charge. So it'll always be maximum for your ancestral cry whenever it's ready. So it works. Everything works together. The beautiful moment when you figure it out and have everything work in your favor. It's just, that moment felt like you're turning water into gold, you know. But like I said, this chain explosion will work with other weapon as well if you just want to have fun. It also works with spear skills. There's a lot of spear strike skills. You know, a lot, especially Primal Strike. They have very they have other builds. I think the Primal Strike is where is it? The Primal Strike is the most popular spear skill in this league. You know how I can tell? This is how I can tell. See that? Yesterday it was over 100, but now it's getting lower, but it's so expensive. That's how I can tell. Yeah, this Primal Strike skill is the most popular one. I think one of my favorite Korean builder, Asday, he came up with 2 weeks ago. He came up with this build is a Primal Strike and Lightning Warp and Custom Crit. I was trying to make that one work, but I'm just so far away from all the critical ones. I mean, I have this little cluster right here, I have this little cluster right here, I have this little cluster right here, but just still not enough to boost up the critical damage, so I just might as well give up on that. Also, like I said in the beginning, the spear is a single hand weapon. Even though you can pair it up with like a scepter to add a lot more extra damage, it's still not enough, not as strong as quarterstaff or maces, because the maces and quarterstaff can give you a lot of levels for attack skills, and their extra physical damage can go up above 30%. So you're welcome to try on your own if you want to, but I've tested, it's not really ideal. Other quarterstaff skills I also tried, like, you know, a lot of slams. This one's a slam. The vaulting impact is a slam, but this one is weird one. It doesn't go where you want it to hit. Maybe you play better with a mouse, but for a controller, it's a nightmare. Also, damage. It's not that good. It's not that impressive, I would say. Falling Thunder also, but they need power charge to work. The Killing Palm is a strike skill. It has Calling Strike. I actually kind of made it work with, because we're close to a lot of the Calling Strike clusters, like this one right here. If you have like Crushing Impact with heavy content, all of your palm will Call Strike, and you're also close to this cluster because there are a lot of Calling Strike thresholds. So I tried it out. I can't really tell the difference because my palm skill attack damage is already big. I can't tell if they're being called or they're just dying. So I didn't further go on that route. What other ones? Ice Strike, Tempest Flurry. Tempest Flurry is best if you scale up attack damage. That'll allow you to move very fast. Otherwise, for this build, our attack speed is not that good, so it's not that important. I mean, it doesn't work that well. Ice Strike allows you to dash, but I still prefer Shattering Palm because the Shattering Palm dash distance is very far, but Ice Strike you have to get pretty close to dash to the enemies, which is not necessary. This one, Siphoning Strike, sadly, the skill cannot be ancestrally boosted, so fuck you. GG. And this one is just a combo striking skills.
Mantra of Destruction.
Yeah. Hand of Choyola, I have a build of this. It works pretty good, except it costs twice the mana of the other palm skills. See, the other ones are 38, 43. This one costs 73. So I like the idea of having the marks being socketed in there, because I can do where's the marks? I can do a freezing mark, explosion. I could do the voltaic mark. They all have very, very high base damage, but because the high cost of mana, essentially life, so I didn't like it very much. But this one, if you invest in some life regeneration or something like that, it could be a potentially good one, because it converts so much physical damage to chaos damage. It naturally has chaos damage, and with the Breach Lord support gems we talked about in a couple of builds ago, those chaos damage will activate all kinds of stuff, ignition, heralds, so pretty good. This one is just, I don't even know why they have this skill. It's so slow. It just looks fancy. Flickering Strike is not for this build because it needs power charge. Gathering Storm is, yeah. So that's all these amazing possibilities. I did a little bit of final min-max with the Shattering Palm with this current build. I get a lot more spirit from this new body armor, and I upgraded my amulet to grab so much spirit. So I have enough spirit to use Trinity, because we have all types of elemental damage. So like most of the time my Trinity has 2 bars, and if you fight a little longer, it has 3 bars most of the time, which gives a lot more damage. 7% more per 30 Renaissance. If I have all three elements, I have, what's the math? 60. One element gives 21% more. 3 elements gives 63% more elemental damage. So it works for all elements. And skill speed. I use Fire Mastery and this Omen one to boost up the level. I think from level 23 to level 26 is all 7% more, so you don't really need to get any higher than this as long as you reach 23, because level 22 I think is 6 more, and starting level 23, the next 3 levels is all the same, so you only need to hit level 23. Yeah, for our boss damage we're still using the Mjolnir and Lightning Warp, and because the Ancestral Cry will also power up the Earth Shatter. Earth Shatter, I have like Fist of War and Aftershock, the Bloodletting, so we don't even need Forge Hammer anymore. You saw in the Zashed video. It just, when the spike pops, a third of the Zashed life is gone, and then the lightning warp would do the rest. I keep the extra chaos damage on these because I hate swapping gems, and I have Rakiata's Flow and Shattering Palm. I don't want to move around too much, so most bosses have either 0 or low chaos resistance. So and I don't have any slot to drop their elemental resistances, so I just do chaos damage instead. Works beautifully, one shot any boss. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. For allocation on your amulet skills, you have quite a few options. You, like I said before, you can do more. If you feel like you're not igniting fast enough, you can grab this one for flammability magnitude. If you want longer, if you want to maximize your duration for Ancestral Cry, you can grab this one. Gives you another 20 seconds. You can boost it up to 3 minutes. And if you feel like the monster has armors, you're not breaking armor enough, triggering the armor explosion, you can grab. Where the fuck is that one? This one, you gain another 8%. It's the only passive that gives extra physical damage. And you can grab this one if you want, you know, because you're using all three heralds. I just grabbed this one because it gives damage, it gives area of effect. I think one of you asked me if I can make this build work on other classes. You can, but it won't be as effective because Hulking Form just gives so much more on everything. It gives you more glory regen, it gives you more area of effect. All these are 9, you know. They nerfed it, but it's still pretty big. And this one will be lower. The flammability magnitude will be lower. The defense will be lower in this case. The damage will be lower over here. Yes, you can. I mean, the damage here will be lower as well. So, Titan's the best. I grabbed this one because I like big screen explosions. I'm a cinematic guy. I work in the industry too. I like cinematics. So that's pretty much the end of my Ancestral Cry series. I believe I've exhausted all the possibilities. Maybe there's more. If I find it, I'll update it. But yeah, I've had such a good time. I really appreciate, and I appreciate your supports because I could have just kept it to myself. You know, I'm not really a streamer, or I don't really monetize over YouTube, but I'm glad so many of you are also excited about whatever I'm coming up with, and I also get the joy from your excitement. You're enjoying this build. That'll give me the motivation to share more, because it costs a lot to test out all these things, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of investment, and you kind of also need all the investment to be top graded to see how far it can go. You can't really just grab a cheap weapon and see if it works. If it doesn't, that's not because of the build, that might be because of the weapon is not good enough or something else. So it's a very expensive to do this kind of build. And I'm more of a build guy. I spend a lot of time figuring out how build works. I don't really craft anything, so it takes a lot of time and investment, and it takes a lot of time to edit videos, upload it as well. So, but thank you guys for the support and the patience. I'll keep doing whatever. I'll keep digging, and I'll share whatever else I find out in the future. Peace.